All right, guys, it's 5 minutes for talking here. I got my boy Nick and Campo. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about where the Canadian teams are right now in the playoffs and compared to last year. What do you think? Start off with Nick.
Well, I mean, last year around this time, most of the Canadian teams weren't even in the playoffs. They weren't.
Did
even,
any of them make it?
No, zero.
No, not
even the
one.
Canadians.
Nothing
No.
because
The shitty Canadians.
I know how much we know how much you love them. I love them too. Got to a point where Carey Price got injured halfway through the season, and that was it. That's when they just dropped off, and
I don't know.
they were horrible. They were horrible. I've never seen a team rely on their goalies so much, but.
I think he makes a difference, but you can't depend on him. They have no goal scorers. Their team is just a bunch of players waiting for someone to score goals, and I don't understand that. But for this year, how many Canadian teams are in the playoffs right now? 6. It's just Vancouver's not in, I think, right?
Yeah,
And Winnipeg.
every single one, except for
Vancouver and Winnipeg.
Vancouver and Winnipeg.
There's 5.
Yeah, so Edmonton, Calgary, and in the East, what do you have? Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa.
Yeah, so out of those 5 Canadian teams, who's going to make it the furthest or who can potentially win?
Montreal's the best team out of those teams. Maybe
think
Edmonton.
Ottawa.
Edmonton is a toss-up between Edmonton and Montreal. Ottawa's not. But right now, if I'm picking a team other than the Leafs, it's Ottawa. I've always liked Ottawa. They're like the second team in Ontario. They're the backup team.
I'm not a fan ever since Daniel Alfredson grew his hair.
I think they're gonna go on a run, not because they're the best team, but I just think they're gonna go on a run.
Well, I don't know. They started off pretty bad last night, losing 3-1 to a team that they should have beat.
But they have the perfect mix of goal scoring, defense, and like grinders.
I agree. I think
if Anderson is playing at his top game, he's top 3 goalies in the NHL.
my opinion, out of the 5 Canadian teams, I think they're the better team.
Anyone for you?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Montreal. As long as Carey Price stays healthy, I think Montreal is the best chance. After that, it's anybody's bet. I would honestly think Ottawa, but the biggest surprise for me is Calgary. Like, they went on like a
they're on fire.
huge,
They were on fire, man.
what was it, 10, 11 game winning streak? That probably got them into the playoffs. Because before that, they didn't really do much.
If they make it, they're not going anywhere, though.
You really believe that?
You think they're not going to go out of the first round?
Calgary?
Yeah.
No.
Well, actually, no, I don't think so.
If Calgary has to face Chicago or Minnesota, they're going to get bitch slapped.
As of today, they'd be facing San Jose.
I think San Jose will beat them too, even though San Jose is the Washington of the East, or the West, sorry, who they just can't
make the playoffs and can't win. Detroit.
Yeah. Detroit has their cups, man.
They do have their cups, but I mean in the sense of how many years consistently they've made the playoffs. And out of those many years, I forget what it was, like 20-something.
Yeah, but in the NHL we live in nowadays, where you have your Chicago's, LA's, like that, for a team like Washington to be considered the best team on paper 2 years in a row is like to not win. Yeah, last season they were horrible in the playoffs.
Picking up Shattenkirk this year, thinking they're going to make a big difference, they better show something in the playoffs or it was all a waste. I know they didn't give up anything for him, but it's like you pretty much just made your defensive lines all solid. All 3 lines are solid.
Okay, so playoff bracket. When we do when the playoffs come around, we're going to get into it deep. We'll do our predictions and see who gets more wins. But for now, playoff bracket. Who from the East, who from the West, and who wins the cup?
Okay, so I don't know. Do you know who's in the West? Do you know all the teams?
Yeah, I'll tell you both of my picks right now.
Go.
It's Washington to make it to the finals in the East because I've been on their ass for 3 years, and I think that they are still the best team in the NHL. And in the West, it's I don't want it to be Chicago again, even though I like Chicago. I think it's going to be Minnesota. I think Minnesota's going to upset a lot of people if they can stay healthy, and I think Washington is going to win the cup.
It seems as though Chicago always does make that little push at the end, and always goes deep enough. But you know what? For me, Washington, they're the best team during the season. They have not done anything in the playoffs. And
so who do you think out of the East then, besides Washington, would make it to the finals?
Oh man, I would have to look at this.
What about you?
Pittsburgh.
Since you know? Pittsburgh for sure.
Yeah, because they've made acquisitions. They've pretty much kept the same team as last year. I think they're gonna go deep again. I honestly do. And
and out of the West.
Chicago.
And who wins?
Chicago.
You didn't say who won. Who wins in your opinion?
I said Washington.
Oh yeah, the whole thing. Okay.
I picked Washington to win the cup 3 years in a row. And
Like first, second
I'm
round
staying on it. Even when we do our overall bracket, I'm still going to pick Washington. Maybe the rest of it changes, but I have faith in that team. They have 4 solid lines.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna I hate for it. I'm gonna say Leafs from the East.
Wow. Are you serious?
The door's over there.
Yeah. And
You're no longer allowed to tell.
Out of the West,
Ladies and gentlemen, he's talking about 2019.
Yeah, the Leafs,
I'm gonna go with Chicago out of the West, and Chicago will take the cup.
Leafs get out of the first round in 2019.
No, they can
You
totally
said
do
Chicago?
it. Yeah.
Listen, I think Chicago too, but I don't want it to be Chicago. I love Chicago. They've had too much success. I want to see new. Minnesota deserves it.
The way
Minnesota's
the team is,
a
the
hockey
chemistry,
city.
and how they play continuously throughout the year,
Well, it's a
they're
state,
always
but-
successful. And in the playoffs, they're like a more dangerous team.
Minnesota has the fan base. They deserve this. They made it to the finals with the North Stars in 92 or 91 against Pittsburgh. I think it was 91. And they're, I don't know.
I'm not disagreeing. Like, there's a lot of teams out here that deserve it. St. Louis deserves it. San Jose deserves it.
Yeah, but St. Louis gave up their rights to be in the playoffs. They made acquisitions and trades at the deadline that was like a team trying to build for next year. So I don't see them getting out of this. And Calgary's too weak.
And then you got to look at the East, Columbus. Like, are they a playoff team?
If I had to go off heart right now, I would pick either Ottawa or Columbus in the East, but Washington is much better than them, and I can't see Columbus.
Yeah, but
making it
if
to the
you look at the
finals.
brackets as of right now, Washington would face Boston. Out of that, with the way Washington has been so inconsistent and Boston has been successful, that can go either way.
Ovechkin has not been scoring, and they've been
doesn't
winning.
mean he won't.
Holtby is the second best goalie in the NHL.
Who's the best?
Carey Price.
Okay. So out of Pittsburgh and Columbus, which is the next bracket, and they would end up facing each other, are those 4 teams.
Who plays in net for Pittsburgh in the playoffs?
Murray.
Depends what game you're watching. You can always
Murray.
just see Fleury or Murray.
Murray. After last year, Murray.
Flamurray?
Flamurray.
Murray.
Flem.
I think Murray is a better goalie right now. It's cheaper.
So you think Pittsburgh's going to walk all over Columbus in advance?
No, I think it'll be a battle, but I honestly do think Pittsburgh will come out of it. Columbus is still.
I think Columbus has the
A year or
grit
two
to
away.
play off. The grit to play off. That's a new thing. But they don't have the talent. There's not a lot of talent. Like Seth Jones, we watched the game the other day, how he was on the ice for like the whole entire overtime and like the last 4 minutes of the game.
So who's your final prediction for the Stanley Cup?
Chicago.
Yeah.
Mine was Chicago. You were Washington. I just want to make sure.
Chicago has pretty much kept the same core players. They've been so successful, and I don't see why they can't do it again.
Oh, sidebar question. Is Fleury a lock for Las Vegas next year?
Wow. I don't know.
Who would you say, Fleury?
Yeah. Like, there's other good goalies, but there's not really, like, a huge starting caliber goalie.
You got to look out for Tampa, too, because they have... who picked up
LA.
Bishop? LA. I don't understand that acquisition at all, and Bishop has yet to win a game.
It's
Bishop
going to
needs
be between...
playing.
To me, it's going to be between Bishop and Fleury for who goes to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I don't know.
I don't think Bishop was ever a starting caliber goalie. I think the team in front of him was just really good, and he's 6'7".
Yeah, but he held his own during the playoffs last year.
Yeah, because he fills the whole net.
No, he's a good goalie.
I
don't understand what LA... Like, I don't understand how...
If I'm Bishop, I'm upset about this move.
Oh, I would be so pissed off. You're a backup goalie now in LA. You haven't won a game, and you barely get to
And with
play.
Jonathan Quick, if he's healthy, you're not playing any
That's what I
games. He's like
their
top,
go-to.
they're top 5, like those goalies.
Yeah.
Bishop is definitely there.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know. It's like, the expansion, too. Like, Las Vegas Knights, you think they'll be a dangerous team next year?
No, absolutely not. But you never can rule out a playoff, but the team won't. They're gonna be maybe not the worst team in the NHL.
Did they get entered in the draft lottery this year? And what?
Yes.
How do they?
I don't know. They probably get automatically put in the 5th spot, or like we should check that out. But I never really looked into that. Speaking of,
how does a team get automatically put into the 5th spot?
They get entered into the lottery with the 5th place worth of balls, right? Like in the
like the percentage for
something.
win.
Yeah, they have a higher percentage in it. But
I don't know. Colorado, the way they're doing right
now,
man.
That's where we're going. Bottom of the league. Bottom of the league.
What a disappointment.
What's
they're like
the
Edmonton
deal?
a couple years ago.
What is the deal with Colorado?
Colorado is literally Edmonton a couple years ago. They got to move one of those younger guys, or move somebody here and pick up a couple core players.
But with the team they have, if you're doing this bad, if you trade Duchesne, which McKinnon and Barrie are not going anywhere, if you trade Duchesne, what do you get back? A draft, like a
first rounder.
I wouldn't go for a first rounder because you're going to get a first rounder this year. Like, you should get a first rounder this year. They have 43 points, I think it is.
Yeah, but Arizona, I think is Arizona.
Arizona has 63, I think it is. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that's how it stands right now.
But either way, you get the first overall pick this year. You trade Duchesne, you get another first round pick.
Arizona 63, Colorado 43.
You're going to get another first round pick for Duchesne, plus your actual first round pick is going to be a higher pick because you're not going to make the playoffs next year.
And then it's Vancouver.
Then you're going to get maybe a veteran or a prospect in that trade. I don't see that team getting any better from getting rid of Duchesne. If not for the recent time.
No, like, this is the thing. If he's not going to re-sign with them, they're not going to get better. If they could deal him and pick up some pieces and hope that their first round pick is going to be a McDavid, Matthews, something of that caliber, then it will maybe shape into something.
If you move Landeskog and Duchesne and get first round picks for both of them, then you're deadly. You're going to come in with 3
first
picks.
Round picks, or you're going to go next year's.
It doesn't matter. You stack up. Look what the Leafs did.
The process too, right?
You're not going to get, maybe you get 1 first round pick for this year, but you're already going to pick first overall.
But I don't know of any good players.
It's a weak
draft. Yeah, it's a weak
only
draft.
Only that first guy, Patrick. I don't know what his name is. Patrick, I think.
Strome is in it.
They need Patrick Waugh. That's what they need.
There's another Strome.
They need Patrick Waugh back. That's what they need. Patrick Waugh.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not the best goalie of all time.
He's not. He is not the best goalie of all time. Martin Brodeur.
Right? Okay.
Sorry to all the Montreal Canadiens fans.
Sidebar to the dicks that we know who got into an argument with me for 40 minutes about how Brodeur is not even close to the best goalie of all time.
And whom? I don't want to give out names.
It was clearly Carey Price or Patrick Waugh was the answer, which is not. It's not even an argument. Patrick Waugh was good, but Brodeur was by far better. I don't care what happens with that team; he was better, anyways.
And he scored a goal too.
What's Arizona's fucking deal?
I don't know, man. They have such a deep team of
young
potential
talent.
Prospect, talented players,
and they keep giving up pieces and getting draft picks, and they keep drafting high. They're the new Edmonton Oilers. They're the Philadelphia 76ers of the NHL.
Philadelphia 76ers. Wow, a basketball reference.
How many times can you draft high?
Because they always draft the same
and
players,
be not good. Like Edmonton, if Edmonton did not get Connor McDavid in that draft, I guarantee you they'd still be picking first overall picks and still be in last place.
Yeah, but how many times have we seen teams with a lot of good players and they're just not able to match?
No, this is the problem. It's not a lot.
The New York Rangers for the last 20 years.
It's not the thing of a lot of good players. It's the age of these players and how they got drafted and what they have to prove. You have a bunch of young, hungry, talented players on the same team. It's everybody's trying to make a name for themselves, put a value on their face, everything like that.
Regardless of everyone else on the team, with Max Domi and Duclair alone, they should be a better team than they are, just with those 2 guys.
Well, go back to what you were saying. So how do you put a team together when you're drafting high multiple years? Do you mix them up with some veteran guys to sort of keep them in check?
See, the thing is,
management people.
Shane, don't.
It's the name of these players, how they came out. In the Olympics, Eberle's huge. Team Canada. He was a big name player.
Eberle should not even have been on that team.
But like if you look at how well he did.
He's the Chris Kunitz of that year. You suck, Chris Kunitz.
No, like they're all trying to make a name for themselves. That's what I found. Like Taylor Hall went to New Jersey. He's in a worse situation.
Yeah, but he's in a worse situation playoff-wise, but they also have a lot of young depth, and they're going to draft high again. But he now gets to be the face of that franchise.
Yes.
Where in Edmonton, he was going to lose it to Connor McDavid. And even though he was the face for a bit, he was not, like, nobody gave a shit about Taylor Hall.
If Taylor Hall went to a team
Would you lose?
that is like a playoff contending team, he would be a way better player, and he would be way up in the league leaders for
Taylor
points.
Hall would be the equivalent of Pittsburgh picking up Phil Kessel.
Yeah. Yep. I agree
Maybe
with
a
that.
little bit better
Philly cheese.
if you're one of those teams looking for that. But then you can't afford that contract. That's all. That's a one and done.
Well,
The Leafs are paying for Kessel.
they still
they
are
still
for
using
another
the
year.
contract?
The Leafs are paying Phil Kessel for the
And I'm
last
sure Dion's
the last
enough.
these two seasons and next year
What about
to
Dion?
win Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh.
What about your boy Dion Stalker?
I don't even want to talk. Well, his wife is hot.
Well, I mean, like, talk about, like, the trade, you know,
The
the
pylon.
Taylor Hall trade. You know, like, a lot of people were kind of, like, scratching their heads at first. But
I
now
liked
it
it.
kind of actually did work out.
I like that
Well, it
trade.
did
I
because
didn't-
you replaced
Edmonton,
him
at
with a
least.
better player, and you got a defensive player that's definitely going to benefit your
That's
defensive
he
line.
is-
exactly what Edmonton
Yeah.
needed was
And
defensemen.
Larson's not old, which is we were talking about in the last episode about the Leafs. They need defensemen. They don't need any more forwards. They have so much talent on the Marlies to bring up to the NHL. That's what you have there.
Also in Edmonton, you have Talbot, who's playing outstanding right now.
Yeah, but Talbot still, in my opinion, is not a starting goalie.
It looks
He
like
is
he's
already-
working out right now.
He's working on now with the team ahead of him. What happened when there was no team? They still suck.
That's because they picked up a few couple
Who's the goalie
defensemen.
they got from the Leafs?
Okay.
Gustafson or
No, that
They
was
got Ben
Ben
Scrivy.
Scrivens.
Yeah.
Ben
The
Scrivens.
Scrivster.
Yeah.
Then
They started it.
I like Ben Scrivens.
No, I'm not a fan, man. Like, I need to
Guilty
go down,
pleasure,
sit down
Ben
and eat some tea and
Scrivens.
crumpets.
had a couple of good games. But didn't the Oilers pick up Chris Russell as well?
Yeah.
So-
no. They did.
Yeah, they picked up
did.
Chris
That
Russell.
was a huge pickup. That
I mean-
that the Leafs should have made a move for Chris Russell. I don't understand that.
It's clear what Edmonton was looking for, and they got it.
Well-
they needed D.
Yeah. Well, Chris Russell didn't really help out Dallas too much last year at the end. Anyways,
I'm sure the Leafs will find a way. Though they're going to need to pick up a couple defensemen. It looks as though the Leafs are trying to like go the same path as Chicago. You know, you got the Taves, you got the Kane, then you got the Marner, you got the Matthews. They
that's
got
what
the
I was
exact
saying,
same
and
thing.
I keep getting into arguments with people who are comparing Matthews to players like Crosby or whatever. But McDavid is the Crosby, and Laine is the Ovechkin. The Leafs are building a team with Marner and Matthews that is the Kane and Taves. Like, they're not the best players in the NHL, but together, it's going to be, well, you know, it's something special.
Well, now
Okay,
the Leafs
so-
need to find their Duncan Keith.
Oh, yeah, it's not Riley.
It's definitely not. There's no one on the team that's going to be that
Put
caliber.
Boyle on defense.
Not even in years.
No.
Okay.
Draft him.
Right. Let's say right now, Art Ross Trophy. Who is your pick?
It's Connor McDavid. He's going to win.
Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid's going to have the most points in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Crosby's
got some
the
time.
only one who's going to catch him, and he's not going to catch him. Although I'll give Crosby, he has like 8 less games played. 7 less games.
Like
Brian Marchand. No.
Brad
not Brian.
Marchand?
Marchand. I can never say his last name.
The friggin' little
Rocket,
pest, eh?
Richard coming back to life.
So right now, as it stands, you have McDavid with 88, Sidney Crosby 82, Patty Kane 81, who's made a nice little run lately, Brad Marchand with 80, with I doubt any of you expected him to be in the top 5 for scoring.
Backstrom surprised
Nick
me, but I've
Backstrom,
always thought he was
79.
that good. I've
Kucherov
always
78, you got Scheifele up there 75, Malkin 72, Brent Burns, defenseman in the top 10, 72, and then you got Draisaitl on Edmonton with 70.
First of all, when was the last time you seen the defenseman? that
Every
high?
year, Carlson.
Oh
He's
yeah,
in the
it's
top
true
10
because
every year.
Carlson did make a play.
Carlson is like a career 70-point guy.
Yeah, he is.
He has like 67 right now. He should win the Norris Trophy, but he's going to lose because Burns is going to win for most points. But overall, defenseman, he should win the Norris Trophy this year.
It's the,
Carlson?
It's the
Yeah.
beard.
No, Brent Burns is ahead of him by like...
Yeah, but points is not.
5 points.
I don't think the best defenseman award should be awarded
Yeah,
to the
no, you're
defenseman
right,
with
you're
the
right,
most
you're right, you're
points.
right.
It should be the best defenseman.
So how is it going to be Carlson then?
Because Carlson is playing his best defense he's ever played in his career this year, and he still has 67 points.
Okay.
I can thank Dion for enough for that.
Yeah. And his
Wow.
wife.
Wow.
Okay, so you're saying that McDavid's going to walk out with the Art Ross trophy?
Well, he's walking out the door with it. It's over.
He's ahead by 6 right now. Let's say on average about 8 games left.
Listen, I'm not even going to be
6 points behind.
I'm not even going to be surprised if McDavid walks out the door with the Hart Trophy, as well. He's going to win MVP probably. He took a team that was doo-doo all the way to the top.
And how old is he?
I don't know, like 7.
17. And he's captain of a Canadian team that gets a lot of
20?
media coverage, and he's leading the league in points. That's pretty damn good, man.
I'm sure all 13 people in Edmonton are pleased with him. So last thing before we get off together, we'll get off together. Who do you think should be in the top 10 for points right now that's not?
Matthews.
Ooh, I agree with that, because if he was on a first line, he could be pretty dangerous.
No, the right answer is Jamie Benn.
Oh, yeah. Even Sagan.
Yeah, Sagan's they're both close, but I believe Sagan has more points.
Sagan's in the top 15, I believe.
Sagan is 11th, and Ben is 13th. But I think Ben is having not a season compared to the last 2 years. Like 70 points nowadays is meh.
Where's Ovechkin?
Oh, there you go. That's a huge one.
But Ovechkin's a goal guy. He's not a totals. He's more of 50 goals.
That's okay. But if you're Ovechkin right now and Phil Kessel has more points than you, I don't understand what's going on.
What about Johnny T?
Johnny T's right there, 17th, but still, he should be better. He should be better.
10.
Yeah, Tavares, but he's not really a point guy. He's gonna get you 68. He's like Jonathan Taves.
You know who's impressive right now to watch is Kucherov. The man is on fire.
Yeah, he's gonna steal Stamkos' job.
He is gonna steal Stamkos. That's why I don't understand how they signed him for that long in so many years.
Well, they have him for 2 more years.
The piece of glass barely played.
You have Kucherov for 2 more years on a bridge contract.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys something. What happened to Ovechkin's play, like, in the last few years?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Last year he was okay.
He's on a team that's pretty stacked.
He had a good year last year. He had like 50 goals, I think, or 40-something goals.
He always wins the Rocket Richard Trophy, hands down, but this year he's not getting one.
Who's going to win the Rocket Richard this year?
I don't even know who has any goals this year. I have 0.
But it feels as though his point production has kind of been
1.2
reduced a little bit compared to his first 3 years in the NHL.
Well, I'm not gonna say he didn't do well because the NHL changed kind of. But when you look at Malkin has like 400-point seasons, and Crosby's had like 5 now. I feel like Ovechkin kind of fell off. He got into a niche of only being able to score goals, and that was his thing.
Who?
Ovechkin. And,
yeah, it was.
But then when you look at last year, the way he scored goals, into this year, I feel like every year he starts off the first 3 quarters of the year and he's goals, and then the last 25 games of the season he just can't produce anything. Because he did the same thing last year that's happening right now. He was all goals and then nothing.
Well, this goes back to what we were talking about before in terms of Washington. When you say that they're going to win the Stanley Cup and Ovechkin can't get it going.
But the team overall is so well made. It's a combination of offense and defense. Every player on their team can play both ends. Oshie, Backstrom, Ovechkin, Williams. They're a solid team. And now that you added Shattenkirk with his point producing from the back end.
Do you want to hear the top 5 for goals? It's pretty impressive, actually. We'll go with Sidney Crosby.
Wow, Crosby is leading.
42.
Crosby.
You got Crosby, Kucherov at 38. You got Brad Marchand, 37. You got Tarasenko, 34. Matthews 34. And Laine, 34.
Okay. I think if their season given more time and the way he's playing, it would be Kucherov. But with how much games are left, it's Crosby. He's going to take it. There's not even a chance.
You don't think Kucherov can pop in a couple more Hatties before the end of the season?
No, Ovechkin has 30 goals this year. That's probably the lowest amount of goals he's ever scored in his career.
Yeah, I wonder what it actually is.
30 goals.
I think Matthews would have had a lot more goals if Hyman wasn't on his line.
He has 62 points, Ovechkin. That's not brutal, but he's an elite player. That's not. It shouldn't be that. Should you tell me if I put Matthews on his line?
Imagine that, eh?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Imagine that. But I honestly think that Matthews would have a lot more goals than.
Yeah, if he was playing with Van Riemsdyk and Nylander or Marner, he would have had a lot. He would have had more points in general. Marner just has this thing for setting up goals. And he's a legit goal scorer, but I feel like he just never wants to score. He's always trying to make a pass.
I don't know if you ever watched, if you watch some of the games, it feels like the guy has, a sixth sense. He just knows where players, where teammates are, and he can just set them up perfectly.
He's always looking. He's an all-around good player.
That's
like,
Sixth Sense.
everything.
They call that Gretzky.
That is Gretzky.
So you're saying that 34 is a 99?
No, not 34.
16?
16.
Oh, Marner?
He has hands that I like. Matthews cannot put hands together like Marner.
So back to the Ovi talk. Ovi had 3 seasons in a row where he consistently put up 32, 38, 32. And then he had this year where he's at 30, which he'll finish off in the 30s.
And how much is he getting paid?
10 mil.
10 mil? That's more than
Who?
Crosby, isn't it?
Ovi?
I don't know. I'm not sure who the highest paid is in the NHL right now, to be honest with you.
I know Crosby's getting 8.7.
In one more
easy to
season,
remember.
in one more year, it's going to be Connor McDavid.
Because Connor McDavid still serving his
one more year.
entry-level contract. You think at some point that Matthews will get paid more?
Shea
than him?
Weber.
No.
Really?
Yeah. 14 mil.
No.
Jonathan Taves, 13 mil. Patty Kane,
Shane
13
Weber's
mil.
getting
14 million in today's NHL. How are they? Who's affording 14 million on that salary? No wonder they can't get anyone else.
Yeah. Jonathan Taves, $13.8 million.
Yeah, no wonder both of those teams can't fucking get anyone else.
Chicago doesn't need anybody else, man.
They don't.
Look at who they
just
have.
need to stay together and be a team that's going to be together for a very
In
long
my
time.
opinion, a
Panarin
couple more
is
years.
sick.
Panarin, Kane, Taves, whatever. Crawford is not a good goalie. He's
They never needed a good goalie.
okay, but
The defense is too good.
Doughty
No.
or sorry, what's his name? Keith and
Seabrook.
Seabrook are slowly on the decline. They're both gonna in the next couple of years. They're not gonna be relevant anymore, and they're gonna need to pick up some new blood on defense.
Well, that's going to happen with every single team at some point. But right now, I think they're still too good. Too good. And they never needed a goalie.
That's true.
Crawford, Niemi. They
And
were successful.
We all
with
saw what
both.
Niemi did once he left Chicago. He's picking up garbage now in Dallas on the street, trying to feed his kids.
Sorry, Niemi.
I don't know. Yeah, that's you need. I just like to think about what Minnesota could have been if they had the team they have now, but they kept Brent Burns.
It's okay. They still got Zach Parise.
If they still had the players that they had plus Brent Burns,
Zach
They
Parise,
win-
Eric
they win
Stahl,
the cup.
best third line players in the NHL.
Well, Eric Stahl is having a bit of a comeback year.
Yeah, comeback year's like 47 points. Hey, he is having a good year.
Better than his
I'm
30
not even gonna
points
give
in
him
I
Carolina.
think all those teams like Columbus, Minnesota, every player on those teams are having good years.
They built
So
teams
successful.
the same way Washington did, except Washington has more talent. If they're all two-way players, the whole team is two-way players with a random sniper placed in here or there to get them goals, which is what Montreal doesn't do. Montreal has all defensive forwards who can't score goals, and then their way to get out of it is to go sign Semin or Radulov. Like, let's just go find a Russian guy that used to be good.
No, Radulov is a good pickoff for them. Man. I
Oh,
thought
that was a
Radulov
good
was...
pickoff.
yeah,
That was a good
Radulov was a good pickoff. You can't say nothing bad about Radulov.
Pick off BD4.
Classic. Yeah, I don't know. He was a good pickup for what they got him for and everything. Did I just say pickoff?
Did I just say
We're
pickoff?
picking up.
You
We're
did.
picking
Wow.
up.
Pick
pick
up.
up.
Pick up. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
next week we're gonna pick up where we left off, and leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. Like, follow, subscribe.
Hey, what's up, guys? We here at Roblox Games put a lot of time and effort into our content, and it would be very much appreciated if you could drop a like on this video, and if you enjoy this video, please subscribe to our channel for more content.